Hey guys, welcome. This is Mozsta 69 in his beautiful red lair, and in this episode we'll be chewing the fat on motorcycles in the verse, guys. The Tumble Ranger. Wah, wah. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. Bikes are coming to the verse. They're in concept at the moment. We don't have an ETA as to when they're going to be out, but it's exciting nonetheless. Now, before I get stuck into what the bikes look like, a little bit of the design process, if you do want to get more background, in-depth information, I do recommend subscribing to the Jump Point magazine. That's my source material for this video. So the concept of motorbikes, some people were for it, some people were against it. I'm actually for it, guys, for the following reason. The main reason being that if we're going to be, if the verse is going to be this huge, diverse place with, massive cities like Arcorp, which is going to have millions of people, and Lawville, which has got people enslaved and, a little bit poor, there's going to be different economic classes just like our world. And not everyone is going to be able to afford a spaceship, not everyone's going to be able to afford even a gravlev. So the motorbike, I think, is actually a very valid vehicle in the Star Citizen universe, especially for maybe people sort of on the lower rungs of society that need a cheap mechanism for transport. In fact, like today's planet Earth. Another really interesting thing just on the development side, from my point of view, is that implementing these bikes is a little bit more complicated than I would have thought, because I'm a bit of a noob when it comes to dev. But the crust of the story is that there is no two vehicle mechanics in the game at the moment. So there's no code at the moment for SIG to leverage. They're pretty much developing everything now, and by that I mean, guys, the physics for a two-wheeled vehicle has to be defined. Can it slip, can it slide, the animations of the guy on the bike, all those things kind of need to be developed from scratch. So it'll be interesting to see how that unfolds, and if we can see more of it as time goes on. So let's get stuck into the three bikes. We've got three variants, a combat variant, a cargo variant, and a racing variant. And the kind of design principle was a Judge Dredd type bike. Now, who doesn't like good old Judge Dredd? Now, these bikes, in typical SIG style, they didn't make no shortcuts whatsoever on these bikes. And by that I mean they could have just made a motorbike, stuck a gun on it and walked away. But no, in true SIG style, these bikes literally have pretty much the same components that a spaceship would have. So you're talking about power plant component, shields, one of the variants has got weapons, obviously, computers, all the components that we typically talk about on a ship are in these bikes, which to me again is pretty amazing. SIG could have gone down the lazy path and just built a bike with an engine in it and walked away from it, but no, they've added components. So the next design challenge was, how the hell or where are they going to put these components? Because again, they didn't cut any corners. They want the components to be real tangible objects in the bike that not only just sit in the bike, but you can actually pull out and upgrade. So huge design challenges for the staff and designers at SIG, and I think they've done a wonderful job in so far at the concept level overcoming these design challenges. So just above me you can see some of the concepts that we're working with to put the components. You can see in some of the pictures that the bike starts to look a little bit bulky. So again, it just shows how difficult it was for them to juggle around these components to make the bike still, look awesome, which I think they do. I really like the way that they look. And they didn't stop there. How do you get access to these components? Well, again, this picture shows some concepts. For example, the handlebar can go up and you get access to one of the components. The bike seat sort of unfolds and you can get access to another component. And the seat at the back has got a little compartment as well for another component. So really done well. And I'm going to refer you to this picture here. So this is a picture of the three of the bikes mid-design, right? And as you can see, the racing bike has got a windshield. Please note the combat bike as well. The combat bike has got two little guns on its handlebars. Now what happened was, and also the cargo bike, you can see, doesn't have a windshield at this stage. So this was sent to or presented to Mr. Roberts, which is what happens typically. The artists and stuff, led by Mr. Paul Jones, they do their designs, then they present to Mr. Roberts. Mr. Roberts would give them some feedback. Designers and artists would go away and retweak the designs and come back. So this was kind of like the mid-design proposal, and Chris Roberts wasn't happy with the racing design. He wanted for the bike to be a little bit more slick, so they removed the windshield and put it onto the cargo version, which makes sense because you're hitting those dusty trails. As opposed to having these custom guns just for the Tumbril Ranger, Chris Roberts steered them down the path of having standard size 1 guns on the sides, and that brings this vehicle into the fold of everything else where people can upgrade and swap out their weapons, which again I think is a great idea. It does, the size 1 guns do look a little bit bulky on the sides, but I think there's a bit of balance between, do we pluck the Tumbril Ranger and put it outside of the whole game mechanic of the weapon. So that's that. And then also please note that the cargo version can hold 3 times 0.125 SKU, which is essentially 3 mission boxes, guys. Those boxes that we all lug around the verse currently, we can have 3 of those on the cargo version. And that's it. Oh no, actually the cargo version also has another set of headlights, again for when you're hitting the dusty road. Love the bikes. I think it fits in with the universe really well. Like I said, there's going to be millions of people in the verse lore wise that can't afford to have spaceships and whatnot, and getting a bike to zoom around the alleyways of R-Corp or whatever overpopulated city is it makes total sense to me. What I'm looking for gameplay wise is, at the moment, the moons and stuff, they're all extremely rocky. It's okay with the grav levs, you have no problem just hovering over these rocks and really rough terrain. With the vehicles, it's Daymar's nice to fly to drive around on. Some of the other planets are a little bit too rocky and you end up just smacking into rocks left, right and center a little bit. So I'm not really looking forward to getting these bikes and putting them on the current moons. That's just my opinion. I think once they develop more roads, paths and trails, these bikes will really come into their own. But I won't be rushing to get one to ride on the current terrain that we have access to now. But obviously when these bikes come out, there's going to be a lot more surface area for us to play with as well. Another thing is the animations. Obviously, to me, a big key factor of the success of the bikes is the animation of the guys sitting on the bike. I'm sure that they're going to do a comprehensive set of animations that make riding the bike look and feel organic. Just things like jumping off jumps and landing. You see the guy kind of flex and bounce with the bike, skidding sideways, putting his leg down as he's skidding, even like coming to a full sort of halt by sliding sideways. Even doing a wheelie possibly would be a great game mechanic, but those set of animations are a lot broader than the Dragonfly animation, for example, which is literally the guy just kind of, you know, hanging on for dear life. So animations and looking forward to roads and tracks and trails, I think will really augment the experience with the bike. I can't wait to see more. And yeah, Tumble Ranger.